This is a 2021 Harley Road Glide.
If you're a short rider or even just a petite rider, you'll definitely want some tricks.
If I was picking for someone my size between the Street Glide, the Road Glide, and the Road King, I would actually go with the... I normally ride standard bikes, so this was a big departure for me, and just on my second road trip ever. My first road trip last month was on a Harley Street Glide, 2,000 miles in 6 days. This road trip was a little easier on my body, so just 1,000 miles. I went to Florida, hung out with the Shade Tree crew, saw my mom, trained with Jerry Palladino. Harley-Davidson, thank you so much for letting me feature one of your bikes and going through Eagle Riders, which is, anyone can actually rent from Eagle Rider, and it's dealerships use them. So you can get like brand new and probably used Indians, Harleys, a whole bunch of stuff. I'll just put on the screen so you can see. So thank you Harley and Eagle Rider for lending me this bike. So I will tell you what I thought of this bike as someone who normally rides standard bikes, but rode this for about 12 hours the second day, I think more like 10 the first day. So I am 5'3.75" inches tall. My inseam is 31 inches. This seat is 28 inches high, but it is pretty wide.
The kickstand can be hard to reach, even for me with 31-inch inseam, but you can get an extender like what Jerry has on his Road King.
So I'm not totally flat foot unless I move up very far forward. I would put 2 feet down. Normally I strongly preach 1 foot down. That's how I've finally been able to ride taller bikes. And those tips really translated for something that's twice as heavy as I'm used to. This is about 830 pounds. My own bike, a Triumph CRRR, is 401 pounds. If you have a body size about mine and say you're a new rider or maybe you haven't taken a lot of classes, I would not recommend this bike. This is definitely not the easiest bike to be in slow speed skills traffic. Your slow speed skills really need to be sharp as far as friction zone, clutch control. And when I first picked up this bike, my turning and especially my U-turn skills were not sharp. So I pretty much avoided any tight U-turns until I got to class with Jerry Palladino again, and he fixed me up pretty good. But you definitely need to have some sharp skills, especially if you're a shorter or petite rider with this bike, because this is a beast. Another thing about this in traffic is the bike does get really hot. So you definitely want some Kevlar thick pants. I don't know how some people squid on these bikes. In traffic, I mean, that you're right, like gets pretty hot. Or even just slow speed around town, you'll definitely feel it, which will feel good in the winter. The only time it was unbearable was when I was in bumper to bumper traffic for like 20 minutes. Yeah, that was awful. Traffic is miserable anyways, but that was the only time the engine felt too hot, where like I literally had to lift my legs because it felt too hot. But other than that, any other normal riding, it was fine. I am so used to my whole body hurting after just a few hours on the standard bikes I love to ride in the mountains. And on this bike, I mean, there's no way I could have ridden my bike for 12 hours without being in a lot of pain. This bike, I mean, I know a lot of people who actually own baggers or large cruisers who say that the stock seat is really uncomfortable. But to me, coming off of standard bikes, this stock seat is incredible. It feels like sitting on a marshmallow. And my butt literally didn't hurt for hours on end. It did towards about hour 7 or 6. The wind deflection, definitely great for any kind of more normal riding or trips. The one things I would change if I'm going to be using this and riding all day long like I did, is I definitely wanted a backrest, and I definitely would have loved a higher windscreen, because you do get some buffeting. And I noticed when I just ducked a little bit under where I was getting the wind buffeting on the top, you probably wouldn't need earplugs. I did try to get it. I know a lot of you suggest that for me when I picked up the Street Glide for my last road trip, but they didn't have any for me. We got this from a rental company. They have plenty of bikes, but I don't know if they have plenty of accessories just for a rent. But what also would have been really great is at about hour 6 or 7 on riding this, my knees started to hurt, which is surprising because I'm pretty active, so I don't usually have joint pains. but my knees did start to hurt, so it would have been great if there were highway pegs. So I could just stretch out my legs and hold them out like that. Oh, that would have been great. I really needed that. The hard cases, I mean, I pretty much filled them up. Not as much for this trip as I did the first road trip. So right now, just the quick at a glance differences, because so far I've just ridden the Street Glide and now the Road Glide. So the Road Glide, the fairing is not attached to the handlebars. I thought that would make it feel a lot lighter, but it didn't. It still felt pretty heavy to me. So I do have a lot of tricks that I need to do in order to manage the weight of this bike. I'm not sure if I'll have that done before or after this video, but either way, I'll make sure to link it down below and in a card. And a lot of those tricks I actually just translated from riding tall bikes, but I did have to tweak some things when it came to this big girl, Mama Shark. And I guess the other difference about the Street and the Road Glide was just the storage in the front. The Road Glide has a little more front storage, and the storage, your things go below in here, whereas the Street Glide, you just have one side and it goes straight in. So I like the Road Glide's frontal storage a little better. So that way I could fit phone plus wallet if I used a wallet, sunglasses, case, snacks. Oh yeah, another bagger you might be looking at. The Road King. So I haven't taken the Road King on the street, but I did ride it in Jerry Palladino's class, and I did feel like it was easier to manage. So if I was picking for someone my size between the Street Glide, the Road Glide, and the Road King, even though I didn't take the Road King on the street, but I did do it in the slow speed scales class, just for someone my size, I would actually go with the Road King. But personally, I just can't get over the fact that the Road Glide looks like a shark. That would make me want to get used to the weight. I remember actually asking her to wheels because she's ridden like all the baggers, and she actually suggested that for me, but couldn't get one for the reservation. And luckily the tips I used to handle heavy bikes, all these classes I've been taking this year, have really helped out. So this bike was still manageable at my size. It was a challenge, and I made sure to be hyper focused anytime I put my feet down, and especially when I parked anywhere, tried as often as possible to park pointing out so that I could just ride off. No, because parking is difficult. Like turn, so right here I had lots of space I could turn. But if I didn't, I do have another trick for that. That's in my petite or short rider tip video for big bikes. This Mama Shark is a big girl, 830 pounds.
Done. Who's the boss? I'm the boss.
Especially if you're a short rider or even just a petite rider, you'll definitely want some tricks. So make sure you watch this video right over here to see how I handled it, and maybe you can have some tricks there too. So I already cleaned it, and now I gotta return it literally right now. So I will see you in the next one. Oh my God. Oh my God.